Yes, welcome back to the 67 Hail Hail channel on YouTube with me, Hamish Carton. We've got Celtic legend Jackie McNamara with us again, and John McGinley as well. We're going to chat a little bit about Scott Brown, probably the key issue all season amongst the Celtic support. Has he passed it? Should he be playing every single week? John, it's an issue that we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, we certainly have, and it's a real hot topic, I think, among supporters at the moment. A lot of people kind of dividing themselves into different camps. Obviously, there's a lot more nuance to the situation than that. And actually, Neil Lennon spoke publicly about it over the weekend. I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said that Scott Brown's a slow starter to the season, and he's been getting a lot of games to try and get him up to that kind of peak playing power, and that he is going to be dropping out of the team on occasion this season, and Lennon's going to be having a chat with him to that effect. Which is interesting because obviously that's what a lot of fans want to see. But it's also interesting in the sense of what it means for his captaincy and what it means for his role as captain. And fortunately, Hamish, we've got a former Celtic captain in Jackie McNamara on the line with us. So who better to kind of guide us through what it means to be a Celtic captain than him? Jackie, just first of all, a lot of people have been speaking about Scott Brown this season. What's your thoughts on his performance in the early games?
Yeah, I think again, I don't really see it being this season. I think the last few seasons, I think when you get over a certain age, if you have a bad game, you're finished. It's people react to that, and I think there's been a lot of that with Scott over the last few seasons, and he's obviously bounced back and shown there. I like him in the team. I do think that he's maybe one that Neil would use wisely, maybe one game a week rather than the two, because speaking from my own experience, how Scott's body feels, but when you get to a certain age, it's not the games that do it, it's the recovery. It takes longer. It's when you're young, I could play on the Saturday and I'd be all right with the Sunday. I could play Monday, no problem. And as you get 28, 29, 30, and it starts getting there, it's the days start adding up, and it's like, Wednesday, Thursday, you start feeling okay after the Saturday. So that's, to be honest, that's what finishes your career. Then it becomes weeks after games. But I think with Scott, he looks good shape, he looks there, but it might be one, that he uses for certain games rather than every Saturday there with demands in Europe as well. The recovery, he can recover properly and give everything for the team.
So from what you're saying there, Jackie, do you think that the whole Scott Brown thing and the bad performances are being blown a little bit out of proportion because he's getting to that stage of his career? Like, do you think, for example, he's been our poorest player this season by a mile? Has he stuck out like a sore thumb, or has he maybe just been the same as a lot of other players?
Yeah, I think it's been the same. I think there's certain games, the games have been, as I said, they've been really strange to start with. Sometimes we've looked compact, and sometimes we've looked so open, and teams maybe starting and they're breaking away for you, running on the back four at the start, and now it's a back three. They looked a lot when they've camped in across there until we actually break the teams down and have a structure about them. And I think Scott, there's been one or two changes run about him, obviously with Cham coming in and then Callum. So it's maybe getting the big test for me is going to be the Rangers game. To see what happens in that game. That for me, that's not just with Scott, I think with the whole team, how they handle that. That's what I judge them on, how they handle that. I know with different occasion because the fans and stuff, but how they handle that, how they handle the expectation, the fight in that match, and that's the games I judge them on, personally.
In terms of being a club captain, Jackie, will it be more difficult for Scott Brown to be a captain if he's not playing as regularly as he was? Or do you think just because he's got such a relationship and partnership with Callum McGregor now, who for me I think is the obvious candidate to be the captain in Scott Brown's absence, will there be, do you think we'll see a change in the performances of the other players around Scott Brown when he's not in the team? Is that a thing?
It shouldn't be. No, it shouldn't be now. I think Scott had a little spell out before under Brendan, and Callum was in and captain at that time. And the team was doing well. But would I have Scott in the team for certain games? 100%. I like him. I think he's good at organising, and sometimes you can get caught up in things. I think he's a good leader. I think Callum can take the armband no problem. I don't see a lot other ones being able to do it in the squad. I think that's maybe the worry. That Neil would have. There's not a lot of leaders in that dressing room. Where I was fortunate. Although I was captain, you had Lennon, Sutton, Larson, Mialby. The team was filled with captains in the team, and we all knew our jobs and led by example. So, whereas Scott has maybe only got a couple of people that. Duffy could be a captain. His leadership qualities. You see there when he scores a goal last St Mirren game,
I love
equaliser. Hutton, because he knows the importance of go and get the next goal. We need to get this job done, and things like that. I think that's a big reason why they've pushed the boat and got Duffy into the club this season. With Lenny was a massive sign for us, because for me we spoke about at the start of the season, a real soft spot, if you like, in our team.
Yeah, you mentioned Callum McGregor a few minutes ago, John, and I've got some quotes from Kieran Tierney when he was in open goal recently. He said, Bruni and Cal ran the changing room, they were our captains and they never let anyone slack. Cal's captain material, Cal will be captain. So that's coming from a guy who obviously worked with both players. That's pretty much an endorsement to me that Callum McGregor will be the next Celtic captain. We've seen League Cup games when Scott Brown sat it out that McGregor's taking the warm-up, even though Brown's been on the bench. So I think the club clearly are kind of gearing McGregor up to be the next captain. And just on Neil Lennon's comments, I'm really positive. You read them out to me live last night, John, and I'm glad to see them, because I think every single supporter, I've not met a supporter yet that's gone, Scott Brown should be starting every single game. I think everyone realises at the stage of his career now, his games should be picked, and he should play the big games, but does he necessarily have to play home games against Livingston like he did on Saturday for the full match? I don't think so. I think we could have a more creative option in there, a more energetic option, but it's massively positive, I think, that Lennon's seeing that. Do we think that Lennon will follow through in that, though, Jackie? He does maybe have, some fans would maybe say, sometimes says things in the media then doesn't necessarily follow through.
I think it's with Lenny, it's trust. Who does he trust? You look in there, it's his commander on the park, if you like, somebody that he knows will, drag the other ones up. Callum, there's that 100% trust that Callum will do that, and and that's what he has to look at. But he has to, we spoke weeks and weeks ago about the, everybody's replaceable. What happens if Edouard goes? The same. It's the same every few years. Scott can't play forever, so you need Plan B. You need people to step into that, and we should be able to then get somebody else in to be the captain. Somebody else would come in and play alongside, and it should have a continuity about the team and know what it means, and have the demands that the manager wants from the sideline, pulling people on and pushing them and making sure they're focused and getting the 3 points.
Jackie, just taking you back to your time as captain, you said it yourself earlier in the video, your team was full of leaders and full of captains. When Martin gave you the responsibility to be club captain, did it take you by surprise, or was it something that you felt was coming and that you were relishing to take on from day one, or was it, it's obviously a big responsibility, it's a dream as a player, but what were your thoughts when you were first appointed?
Yeah, it made some changes, which it didn't do a lot. When he first came in, I played wing back. Do you know what? It's very similar to Greg Taylor just now.
Right.
I played wing back, although promptly I was a fullback. I could play in midfield where I wanted to play, playing there. Then I got injured away with Scotland, and he put a Gat, Didier Gat in there. One of the games, I think it was St Mirren at home, and he's totally different player to me. You know, all about pace, and you know, I didn't beat anybody. He just hit past him, and he was so quick. And people didn't know how to play him at the start, and he was excellent. I had to find and wait an opportunity to come in. And then the first time he made me captain was, I think it was at home at Dundee United, and I played centre midfield, Neil's Lennon's role, and I actually scored in the game. Was man of the match. The next game I wasn't even on the bench. It's like, what do you got to do? And then, but I think the turning point for me is we'd lost quite a few Old Firm games when they were Old Firm games. When Rangers played 3 up front, we'd lost a few. We played 3 at the back, and they changed it after. It was the Boa Vista game when we got to the final. We went back to a back 4 at Ibrox, and we made us captain that day, and we beat them. After that, you know, that was me kind of. It changed maybe at right back. I'll go to left back in certain games against Barcelona. I got went to right back, so I had to reinvent myself in his team. But I think it was a great privilege because we had so many good players and such a pride taking the team out. You know, at big Camp Nou and different things. It was just a fantastic feeling, and it just gives you that sense of, you know, pride with the fans coming out and leading the team out. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's obviously the on-field role you have as a captain. I think me and John are both quite interested in the kind of hidden stuff you maybe have to do as a captain off the field with regards to the squad. I've heard things like, you know, collecting the fines and all that kind of stuff, and organising the Christmas parties. Is there kind of stuff like that you have to do as a captain?
Yeah, they bits are all right. The fines, Martin dealt with the fines.
Right.
He would deal with that if the players, no, there's bits you deal with that aren't great. You know, 1 or 2 maybe have problems that don't get to the manager. That obviously have that trust in you to come and speak to you. Then you maybe go and speak to certain individuals. So it does come with certain responsibilities, because you're always trying to help, you know, the manager or the team off the field, which I think probably helped me in my managerial career. You know, like wee bits, players come up to you and as a captain, and you know, they tell you I've got a few little problems and what can we do to help, and obviously done my best, and the players would a lot of them trust us to help them.
And we can't have you on for a captain's conversation without asking a question I've always wanted to know the answer to. What do you say when you're in the huddle pre-match?
Can I tell you that?
Secret.
No, it varied. It was sometimes I would delegate, but there was one that had already won the league against Rangers, and we were celebrating. The fans were celebrating, and I was just laughing, just in the huddle, smiling and laughing before we get started, and before I would say anything. It was such a great feeling, you know, just having that there, because it's knowing that they're all waiting for you to finish anyway, but just sitting there and we're just catching the rest of the players' eye and looking at them all and just enjoy this.
Amazing. Back in the days when we actually did a huddle, John, now it's a socially distanced gathering.
Yeah, well, not going into all that.
I can play rugby though, it's okay.
Yeah, you can play rugby.
You can pull each other's ears off and everything, but you can't do the huddle.
Fascinating, guys. I've really enjoyed that chat again. We'll have more from Jackie throughout the week and into next week. If you've not yet managed to subscribe to the channel, please do that. Click the alarm bell as well, and we'll speak to you very soon.